What's happening, Brighton? The short answer is a lot. The long answer is this podcast. What's Up, Brighton is a show dedicated to the community we all love.
Hosted by Roger Burnett, Eric Meldrum, and Coach Mark Howell, this podcast will feature news, issues, and discussions impacting Livingston County and celebrate the people who make our slice of Michigan go and grow. This is What's Up, Brighton.
Today we pulled out the guy behind the curtain. It's like the Wizard of Oz.
That's
is
right.
Kind of like
yes.
coming out. And we got Adam to join us on the podcast. So welcome to the What's Up Brighton podcast. You've been here the whole entire time, but now you're in the seat.
No pressure, but you should really
seat.
perform at a really exceptional level, hearing everybody, up until now.
I know. I've probably seen your guys' faces more than your families over the last year between editing all these episodes and everything.
And all the editing. Yeah.
and you know what? This is episode 50.
That's right.
Let's go.
Over the hill now.
We are officially over the hill. And Adam's been here this pretty much the whole entire time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. You guys are a lot of fun to shoot with. So.
Thank you.
It's a fun show.
You have to say that, don't you?
No.
Yeah, we pay him to say that.
Okay, good.
I slide the contract away. But, yeah, you guys have been a lot of fun. I mean, this is a fun show. It's being a resident of Brighton. It's fun to hear different people's perspective on it. I haven't lived here my whole life. Like you've been pretty much Livingston County your whole life, right? I grew up in mid-Michigan, so I've only been here since 2011. And, just seeing the way the community comes together is hearing all the stuff with, the fundraising and Fund to Life. And it's great to see that stuff. And I love it.
Time and time again, awesome. The same story unfolds. People love Brighton for the same reasons.
Yep. Every time my parents come here, they love going to back when they would do the car show downtown. On Main Street, my dad would come down there and he would just spend the whole afternoon and, all the music. And we live close enough to downtown to when the Smoking Jazz Festival is on, we can smell the barbecue from our house because it wafts to our house.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Just murder.
I've driven past so many times. Sometimes I take the back road into downtown Brighton, and I'll drive past Adam's house and see him sitting on the porch, beat the horn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I know where a few of the different podcasters that I do in town live. I wave as they go by and stuff. It's funny how just doing these podcasts,
small town. You see your friends in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Right? That's what you'd expect out of a small town.
Yep.
Right.
So that's cool, man. Thanks for jumping on today. We wanted to spotlight all the great work you've been doing for this podcast and say really just thank you. You've been awesome to work with.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, we want to talk about some cool things behind the scenes of podcasting. Give everyone kind of a different perspective. Like we talk about the things that are really going on in Brighton, but I think this episode is really going to be about how do I start a podcast? What are the things to look out for? And I want to hear some funny stories from you about some of the failures,
epic fails
in podcast.
Right. Yeah. So, Speakeasy Podcast Network, so we've got probably about 20 to maybe 24 podcasts that we do. All of them release, weekly, bi-weekly, depends on the show, but they vary wildly. I mean, there's What's Up Brighton. We've got ones about, medical offices, psychotherapy, real estate, business, entrepreneurs. We kind of, run the gamut as far as topics, and which is fun because then you're not just doing the same topic every single day.
That'd get old to listen to and to edit and everything. You're like, okay,
would,
here's another one.
For sure. But usually when we start a podcast, we bring the person on and we say, what do you want your show to be about? What is your release cadence that you want to have? What's the vibe you want to have? What kind of guests do you want to bring on? Do you want to have guests? Some people don't have guests. But so most recently we brought
which is so crazy to me because I can't imagine a world in a podcast where I am just talking into the microphone aimlessly. That's just not in my personality. Mark might be able to get away with it, but
right.
I don't find myself that interesting enough to hold the audience for 30, 45 minutes on my own. I need help.
Yeah.
I need you guys.
It's a skill set to be able to look down the barrel of a camera and talk for 45 minutes or an hour and a half for some people that are they can just go and go, and I don't know how they do it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Kudos to everyone that can do that.
But usually, like you said, having somebody in the room to bounce off of is crucial because, you can keep the conversation going that way. And then after they're done, we, go through and edit, and depending on the podcast, or some of them we just So for What's Up Brighton, we edit the podcasts. I hand it to you guys, and then Eric usually handle clips, social media, stuff like that. Other podcasts, we handle all that stuff, pulling clips, posting on their social media. Just depends on the tier they're at. And so it's, a full service if you want it, or you can just sort of, use the studio and use our great equipment that we have here.
So what are the benefits? Like, why should somebody start a podcast?
Exposure. I mean, really, and just networking too. I mean, just you get your name out there, even if you don't even realize the amount of reach you're getting when you get out there with a podcast, because there's so many people that reach out to friends, say, hey, check this out, or especially like with What's Up Brighton, the Oh My Lolly, or, these small businesses in town that come on here, and people might not know the face behind a business. And then they say, oh, you know what, I want to check that out now. Or, and then we get so much networking from people that they bring their guests on, and that leads to a business relationship. There's so many times that's happened where you start a podcast and you have your guests come on because, hey, I want to talk about this. And well, we have a lot in common. Our businesses kind of mesh. Let's work together. And so I think that's a huge part of it. And just, getting social clips, pulling clips from your podcast is the biggest way to get engagement with your audience. I think, even if the podcasts don't get that many views, depending on the show, the clips almost always go off.
Yeah.
It's something about that short form, 30, 60 second. Yep. We have a podcast that, is just started, and his clips already go viral on TikTok because, he pulls he's a very, big personality, and he pulls these great clips and posts them, and they go viral.
I feel like a lot of podcasters literally, and I've heard some of the bigger podcasters that I listen to actually say this. I think Gary Vee has actually come out and said it, a couple of times, is you do the podcast for the clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Not too many people are sitting through a long form. Like I consume podcasts on a long form. I put it on 2X, and I'm like getting through, as much information as I can. That type of short form content, I see it all the time. Is you're doing the podcast specifically for the short form. Yep. And I don't know there would be a world in which we would do a podcast and not chop up the clips.
Yeah. That's,
right.
I mean, you see that not just with podcasts, but even just videos that people put on the
right.
internet. It's, I can't count how many times I've been scrolling through TikTok and I've watched like 90 seconds of Chernobyl, the show, because it's on TikTok, and I'm like, I'm going to watch that right now. it's just something about that short form. You're not committed to it. But it's a huge part of the marketing and the value of a podcast is those social clips and pulling those and posting them on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook Reels and everything like that. But when you drill down and you see, exactly how much more engagement or how much more clicks to their website they're getting because of people seeing these clips and seeing these videos on YouTube and Instagram, it's definitely a benefit to their company.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool.
And we do have some hobbyist podcasts as well. It's not all business. Some people just do it because they like podcasting. And
okay,
I think we're hobbyists.
Yeah, I mean,
we're kind of hobbyists.
Yeah. So it's
no real call to action. Like, go buy this.
It doesn't have to all be financially.
We kind of just wing it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and when I started here, I'm the same way. I listen to podcasts 99% of the time. I'm almost never listening to music. It's always podcasts. I've got my usual 10 or 11 podcasts because I used to drive a long way to get to work. So that was, my lifeline. And I still just, 99% of the time it's podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the unique thing for me is like, I grew up listening to music. Do you guys remember when there was like music on MySpace?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
that was the best.
You'd open it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was like you led with music, and I've gotten so far away from that. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know some of the hit songs anymore. I'm like, the only music I listen to is what's in the car with my girls, and they're listening to Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a Swiftie.
Tay.
I'm a Swiftie now.
My Spotify Wrapped every year is like the Beetlejuice soundtrack from the musical and like Kids Bop and stuff, because the only music, and that's not podcasts, the only music I listen to is stuff with Harper on the way to school.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And sometimes I'll get in the car and I'll have a podcast kind of playing midway through, and it connects to the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And they're screaming at me like, "Dad, turn it off!
Yeah.
What is this crap?" I'm
I
like,
drive my kids nuts with that.
"Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
My wife is notorious. She's like, I can't listen to talking on the radio.
Yeah.
So it's like no 97.1, no podcasting, nothing educational. It has to be like her like sleep music, whatever, on a long car ride. Yeah, I'm like, I have to stay awake. She sleeps the whole time.
Does she hate Mojo in the Morning? You ever listen to that?
I actually don't like Mojo in the Morning.
You don't like Mojo in the Morning? What do you think
don't.
about Mojo?
I don't ever listen to the radio.
Yeah.
I listen to like 97.1 The Ticket, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I mean, Mojo in the Morning is obviously a staple in Metro Detroit. Love him or hate him. And my wife, she got kicked off the show. My wife hated Spike. Like, hated him.
That's
Like she couldn't even listen to his voice on the radio.
His voice was really agitating.
Yeah. There are certain ones that like there is a podcast that I cannot listen to in the car with my wife because it drives her nuts and she hates the guy's voice. And so they were actually in Detroit in the summertime. I went to see them live and she's like, "You're going to do a podcast by yourself?" I'm like, "It's this podcast." And she's like, "All right, have fun."
Yeah. you go do you.
Yeah.
Get
off me.
The 2X is like it's the hack. Like,
for sure.
just to get through, because I couldn't necessarily sit there for like an hour and listen to the podcast. And I remember my dad got in the car one time when I had on 2X, and I think I was listening to Ed Milet, the Ed Milet show.
Yeah.
And he already has kind of a fast, like, tonal pickup. So on 2X, it's almost unrecognizable. Like, unless sometimes I have to slow it down. Like, okay, this episode, he's really kind of pacing. Like, I have to bring it back to like 1.75X or 1.5. And my dad got in, he goes, "This guy talks really fast." And I'm like, "No, Dad, it's
sped up.
It's sped up."
Oh, man.
Are you or a loved one struggling with the effects of a stroke? The Oxford Center in Brighton, Michigan offers a cutting-edge alternative stroke treatment that can help stroke victims even years after having a stroke. Our approach combines traditional medicine with evidence-based alternative therapies, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. This advanced treatment involves breathing pure oxygen in a specialized environment that can stimulate the growth of new blood vessels and promote healing in the brain. We also offer physical therapy and speech therapy programs to help patients regain their strength, coordination, and ability to communicate. Contact the Oxford Center today at 248-486-3636 or visit the website at oxfordcenter.com to learn more about the alternative stroke treatment options, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. That's 248-486-3636 or visit oxfordcenter.com.
Like I was saying, though, it's really just like a team effort between, Cameron, Johnny, and I, the other, engineers, and the creative team up front that handle the social media accounts. And they really do a great job of, if we hand them a clip saying, this is what this is about, they do a great job writing a blog or a blurb about it on their social media posts and really just driving engagement. So
yeah.
Nice.
Well, we're happy. I mean, the shameless plug for Speakeasy right here.
Absolutely.
We are happy with it. And one of the criteria I had when I looked at it was like, I don't want to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I want to be able to come in, record, and not have to worry about a single thing. Right. You guys take care of the rest, and that has been nothing but, what you said you were going to do, you did.
Awesome.
So awesome. Well, let's talk about some of the fun stuff behind the scenes. Like, what's some of the craziest things you've heard on these episodes?
I mean, one of the crazier episodes we've had was one of our other podcasts had Uncle Cracker on as a guest, the rapper and country singer.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty sweet.
Really, really fun episode. Really funny guy, and we've had a few other bigger people on there, some former Lions, former Tigers, sports people. And so that's a lot of fun to see,
Very cool.
legends like that.
Yep.
Lomas Brown and, former Lions. So, yep.
Good. Well, we'll have to get some of those people in here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We got to get Drew Henson on here.
Yeah,
Brighton legend.
We had the mayor. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than the mayor, right?
Right. Most people didn't even know Brighton had a mayor.
It's part-time gig.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like this is a good getaway of all that, like, just scrolling on those social media. Like, we're through the election.
For sure.
I'm looking for another 3.5 years of no politics.
100%.
I deleted Twitter right after the election because I was just so tired of it, and it's been just a really good idea. Like, no more doom scrolling, no more.
I never really got on Twitter. I was never a Twitter X.
Me either.
Like,
I never really understood it.
Yes, thank you.
I was definitely a late adopter too.
I even have like a name on it. But like, I don't get it.
Get how to get to the comments or the threads. I felt like I was lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I'm in a hole right now. I don't know how to get back.
Yeah.
I just usually used it for like the memes and jokes and stuff like that. And, and fantasy football advice. It's like the main things I used it for. But
I mean, I still get notifications. I still have the app. Let me say that. I don't go on there. I'll look at like the notifications every time like Elon Musk tweets out. I'll get notified. I'm like, oh, this is entertaining, but I don't scroll like I do on like Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
Which did you guys hear? TikTok is
it's today, right? They're going on the
I got a text from my partner. He goes, TikTok's getting their ass kicked in court right now.
Man.
So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but like,
right?
That's probably the social media account or network that I spend the most time on, honestly, because it's like I just it's
I just scroll.
Like, I just
scroll. It's funny.
I honestly go there for the news. Like I go there to find out what's going on. Like I've learned more about the fires in California on TikTok than I have watching the media.
I guess I probably have too, actually. Yeah.
I like going down the rabbit hole of like the really creepy shit that's on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, like
horror talk.
Yeah. Like different, I have a couple of different, like, people that I'll follow, or like, I'll stop and watch their video for 5 seconds. So then I see it every like third video. But I even love that algorithm. Like, if I stopped and watched it, now I see it all the time, and I don't have to go searching for it. I don't even know the name of the freaking video that I'm even watching, but it's just like now it shows up all the time.
That's what TikTok does well, is the algorithm. I feel like
it's great.
It sends me stuff that I want to see. Whereas like I go on like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and I'm like, why would you ever give this to me? Like
100%.
I think if TikTok gets banned, right, and we don't have that freedom, like that's why people love Twitter. I just was never an adopter of it. That freedom just goes away
for sure.
And like the Facebook and Instagram honestly never give me what I'm looking for.
No.
Like I'll scroll maybe Instagram like 3 times. I'm like, okay, that's just the same. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
Facebook is just a wasteland now. I feel like there's nothing left. It shows me stuff that happened 6 days ago, or AI generated movie posters and stuff like that. I'm like, who's this for?
Yep. Yeah. Older people.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I was listening to a podcast about a week ago, and they were talking about AI advertising and where some of the trends may be going in there. And this conversation was super interesting because they were like, imagine a world where we have AI generated ads that can serve up based on like a TikTok algorithm of what you're consuming. So you go and let's say you're watching Netflix, for example, and instead of just the regular advertisements that you would see on like cable TV, you're watching Netflix or Hulu, and an ad pops up and it's specifically custom to you. Like that advertiser would have these AI generated dynamic ads that could go directly to you, but it's selling the same product. Just creating an ad that's more specific to your age, maybe what you're into. Maybe you throw a naked dude in there for Mark, and he's like, I'll buy that bar of soap. That guy was awesome. But think about that. Like how freaking wild is that when you start looking at, what you can do. And like the podcast is the tip of the iceberg. We started the conversation with like, why should you do a podcast? Well, everyone is doing it either for fun, maybe something they're passionate about. But a lot of times it's, to monetize, right? To monetize the podcast from, your product that you're selling or your service that you're selling, getting more visibility. And think about that from an advertisement perspective. Right. If you're getting ads directly, to somebody, how do you leverage that for your business? Put that into your podcast. Like, can you imagine if we had a version of this podcast that changed every time we displayed that on YouTube to a different audience? Like this podcast was a little bit different. Like Mark was better looking on video.
Impossible. That's impossible.
I was less good looking on it to make people more welcoming,
less intimidated.
Right. So my mind just goes there, and it's like, when does this thing actually start becoming reality? And I think we're almost there.
Yeah.
AI terrifies me.
Yeah.
It's useful, but it's like, at what point is it too far?
Terminator.
That's in my goal plan this year, is to leverage AI in some capacity in our business. Because I was in the same boat last year when all of this stuff was kind of unfolding. I'm like, there's just so much going on with AI. And like, I feel like the first year of the wave, there's so much garbage being thrown, and you got to kind of see what apps, what companies, kind of rise to the top in the forefront of that. And I think we're kind of to that point of like, we know, some of the companies that are going to be there. I'm super impressed with it. If you guys checked out like ChatGPT or Gemini, Perplexity, Gemini is really impressing me because Gemini is a Google product, number one, but it's tied in with your email, tied in with your G Drive. It's tied in with YouTube.
Oh, nice.
It's got the Google search in there.
Wow.
So I've been asking ChatGPT and Gemini some of the same questions as we're looking to develop, and I started leveraging AI to develop kind of a more centric agent business plan, because I want to figure out agents' personalities, what do they like doing, and then help them develop a plan that really speaks to their strengths. So I've been asking AI to kind of help me do that. And the answers I'm getting from Gemini are like more in depth than I'm getting from ChatGPT, which is wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Podcasting, all things.
Naked dudes.
Naked dudes.
That's the name of the episode.
That's it.
Yeah.
It'll be the highest click rate.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Mark with his shirt off on the thumbnail for this. Can you imagine?
Just laying on the
That'd
table.
be hilarious.
Well,
Laying on the table.
That one we will be sure to send out to all the chamber members.
Hey,
would you like to sponsor a Fun to Life event?
They'll make it worth your while.
Yeah. Yeah, what kind of event is this?
Yeah, I mean,
now I'm really interested. Whoa.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a good 50 episodes, man. You guys are fun to work with, and once Roger gets back, we'll get
He's not. We're not going to allow him to come back.
Right, yeah.
Our viewership has increased exponentially.
Right, it's just through the roof.
It is off the charts, that's for sure. But, yeah, 50 episodes. That's crazy.
Yeah,
50. I mean, I remember when we got to 25, we're like, woohoo!
Yeah,
like
top 100.
we're basically at a year. You're recording.
Our oldest podcast just is about to hit 200, or just did hit 200. So
nice.
Yeah.
So who's your funnest podcast to work with?
You guys, for sure.
Okay.
I
did pay them to say that.
I look forward to every
Good
Friday.
call.
Every
Good
Friday
call.
from 12 to 2. Every other Friday from 12 to 2.
There you go.
Every other Friday. Maybe we can squeeze in every Friday. That'd be too much.
That'd be a lot.
That would be a lot. So, all right, well, man, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Get you behind the curtain over there into the podcast studio. Kind of share a little bit more about what's going on. If you guys do want to have some more information about Speakeasy, or you're thinking about starting a podcast, definitely give Adam a shout, or Rob. Be happy to answer any of your questions. And that's it for this week. See you guys.